I'd had 16 years of unbridled, unqualified love and nurturing. I came from a very fortunate place. And at 16, I lost that. I lost this incredible security blanket and the richness of everything that is in that relationship. Unqualified love, unconditional love that was desperately important to me for that period. And I haven't got time, nor do I wish to necessarily bore you with the progression to now. 5 decades in the 20th century, when this generation made many mistakes and have left all sorts of untold consequences for future generations. But during that period, a couple of things happened. And I wanted to share a picture to show. This is my best friend. This is my grandson, William. He's only 8. And his arrival taught me more than most of the scholarship I'd been involved with in universities. Because the relationship I have with William is one that is truly and utterly based on understanding and love, and not as with my children, who I remain very close, where the relationship was based on judgment. And it taught me in later work, and the work I do now with international institutions, that if we could move from relationships that were based on judgment and on love that's based on conditionality, that we'd be in a better place. My son asked me recently what I was doing for my New Year's resolution in 2017. And again, it's a culmination of a long conversation with my children about what I did and why I did it. And I didn't have the answer. I didn't want to give up smoking. Well, I don't smoke, and I don't drink to excess, fortunately, anymore. So I didn't have many things I could really be proud to give up. But I gave up anger. All right? And I went back to him the following week, and I said, look, Chris, it's a good question. This is my mission. Because in the years of work, moving to where I've now the privilege to be, this has been so true. So I gave up anger in 2017. And I used to be a really passionate, but I still am. Those of you know me. But I don't get angry. I get frustrated. I get hugely disappointed. I go beavering away and lobby and advocate and argue, but I don't get angry. And I'm much better for that. The me is better, and the people that work with me tell me that that makes a huge difference. Not easy, and I'm not perfect by any means. So I went from working as an academic to working as a diplomat. I spent many years in the Middle East and in difficult postings for my family, but meaningful postings for me. And I came to the place we are now, and the theme of this particular forum. They're trying to assess what lessons there are we could draw from the insights and the experience that I've had the privilege of having, that can look at how we can inject more harmony at the level of nation states and at the level of international organizations. I work a lot at the moment, as some of you know, with a whole myriad of international organizations who come together in one dialogue about dialogue. So in the Baku processes, it's called a World Forum on Intercultural Dialogue, where remarkably, over the last 10 years, we've brought nearly every agency of the United Nations and many others to work together and to talk together in a non-hierarchical, non-ownership, non-confrontational way. It's been remarkably difficult to achieve, I have to say, but nonetheless, you can see the value of that. And one of the things that we've used as a device, and I've used in my life to try and move forward in difficult contexts such as that, reflects, I think, strongly into where we seem to be with our polarized societies that we've referred to already, and largely to those who seem to prefer to look back to some nostalgic place where they believe it was much better. And I did a bit of work a tiny little bit of work, but lots of people did tiny little bits of work, and it led to the Good Friday Agreement in the north of Ireland. In the island of Ireland, traumatic period, 300 years of strife, that 21 years ago or so came to terms with itself to a degree. And in the work I did there, I was looking at community tensions, and because I spend most of my evenings at leisure, of course, as we should, downtime. This is a pub in Belfast on the waterfront that I fell upon one night. And it's another one of the formative things, the experiences that have changed the way I think about things. Some bright spark in the north of Ireland, in the city of Belfast, has this wonderful bit of graffiti. It's not really graffiti, it's now institutionalized. And how sensible is that? That never can we move forward without respecting where we've come from. Never can we make progress without cherishing and respecting the dignity of the past. But were we to put two eyes on the back, were we to look only backwards, then that's total madness. And you can see this throughout. And much of our conversation about generations has been about that. I'm not a great believer in holding out huge optimism for the next generation to sort everything out. In fact, I think that the demarcation between generations is unhelpful. So young people bring energy, they bring a lack of fear, they bring hope, they bring creativity, they try things. But I think the best generation to back our prospects is the now generation, and that includes all generations working together, not one leaving it for the other, not the old generation stepping back for the new. So the now generation is what I do, and it reflects this message written on a pub in Belfast. So my final comment, the formative years were finding what other inner strengths you could have once your mother's love had taken away. It sounds hugely powerful and personal. It was. It's a difficult thing at 16. I was very close to my mother. But somehow we found other forms, other relationships, other ways of working. I'm very pleased to have had huge numbers of mentors and coaches, people that matter to me. So you're left with what can we do? In a world where most of the conflict is not between nation states, most of the discourse is at the level of global challenges. We're very, very bad at dealing beyond our immediate locality, and yet it's the immediate locality which provides the greatest space for us to be effective, step by step. So these are big contradictions that we grapple with, whether it's in my work with leadership or my research in peace and peacefulness. So I leave you with one call to arms, because I believe that we need to always be urging and striving. We cannot settle on a vision when everything's moving so much, but we can commit ourselves to visioning, to being active in taking stock of what's around us. So my final picture is a wonderful cartoon drawn at a peace conference we hold in Coventry that actually calls us to arms to say we have governments, we have international organizations, we have mayors, we have leaders. We have to take responsibility for holding them to account, not just deriding them for being hopeless or being corrupt or being ineffective. We must hold them to account. And what we do with the international organizations that come together and work, put them in the same direction, is to try and create harmony in the flow of their interrelationships, which must be one of the agendas that this forum can push on. When we go home, when we stand up and tell people what happened in Reykjavík in May 2019, as we must, the message will be about how we can get convergence. Whoever's got influence, whoever's got the ability to have impact and make a change, however small, must be mobilized together.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.